Good morning, everyone, and welcome to this morning's episode of the Maritime Morning Brief, brought to you by the Marine Exchange of Puget Sound. I'm your host, Sarah, and I'm here with Executive Director Patrick Gallagher.
Good morning, everybody.
And we are really excited to have here in office today Tuuli Snow, Talent and Acquisition and Engagement Manager at Snow & Company.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Yeah, we're really excited to have you here. You ever been here before?
I have not.
No? Oh, cool. Yeah, well, welcome.
Welcome.
And
Yeah.
by the way, you have the coolest name.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, like,
I have
talk
a
about memorable. Like,
second coolest. My little sister's name is Tiger. She kind
Oh,
of takes the cake.
Tiger. You both, well,
is it spelled like tiger?
Her
or
name's
is it-
Tiger Lily.
Oh, God.
I know. So thank you, but I think second.
well, we didn't know that, so it doesn't even
Wow.
count.
Do you have any other siblings?
I don't. Just
Okay.
two of us.
All
TNT.
right. So you grew up basically in this industry.
I
Like,
did.
yeah.
Yeah, we lived on our boat at Ballard Oil for many years while my dad was working there. So for those of you who don't know me, my family owns Snow & Company, which is a boat building business here in Seattle on the shipping canal. And my dad, Brett Snow, started this business as kind of a one-man band, working out of the back of his truck in 1994.
Wow.
Really just repairing wooden fishing boats for the most part. And then after a number of years, he taught himself how to weld and kind of, bit his teeth in the metal working world, building cut his teeth, excuse me, making a seine skiff, which is kind of was a big leap for him, was something really different. But it worked out pretty well, and he kept on keeping on in the metal world, and that is really all we do now. We do some finished carpentry inside our vessels, but don't really do the wood boat world anymore.
So, wow, a couple of things. Ballard Oil is not around anymore.
No,
That's
it's
sad. Yeah.
It is sad. It's quite a staple for, I think, I was going to say for me, but I think for a lot of people.
Yeah,
in the
for a lot of
industry
people.
Here.
Yeah, it had a lot of meaning for a lot of people. Yeah, so that is kind of sad. But do you still live on a boat now?
I don't anymore.
Oh.
We do still have our boat. So when my dad was 25, he bought a fishing trawler in Denmark and brought it across the Atlantic Ocean and up through the Panama Canal to Seattle.
Yeah.
Had it moored at Ballard Oil, and we moved on it when I think I was 10.
Wow.
And lived on it until I was about 14.
Yeah, and now you're down by Harbor Island, correct?
No, we're right on the shipping canal, right between Ballard and Fremont.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Okay.
We share a fence with Western.
Oh, right. Yeah, I knew that. Okay.
How many people do you guys employ?
We have almost, I think, 101 employees right now. When I started 3 years ago, I started in January, we had 70 employees. And in 2020, when we took over the old Kviak building, which is our building now, we had 32 employees. So we've over tripled in size in 5 years, which is a good problem to have. It does mean some growing pains for sure, but that's kind of part of my job that I love is making sure that we have systems in place that we need and getting us more talent so we can make more boats.
Yeah, and speaking of making more boats, I just saw an announcement that you earned a very recent contract. You want to tell us about that?
Yeah, with Arc and Curtin,
Mm-hmm.
we are going to be making some electric tugboats for them, which will be the first of their kind. I'm real excited about.
Wow.
We designed their design that we did in-house in collaboration with Curtin and Arc, and I'm really excited to see how those turn out. We cut steel for those just a couple months ago. They're in the fabrication process and kind of seeing them come together right now for the first time and start to look like a boat and not just a bunch of sheets of steel, which is
Wow.
exciting to see. So
That is exciting.
yeah, the electrification of vessels is a really exciting thing we are seeing happening more and more. I think it was something we talked about for a really long time
Yeah.
in this industry and knew it was a move we needed to make. But as you guys know, maritime can sometimes be a few years behind the other industries of the time. And it's really exciting to see such a big and fast boom.
Yeah.
Not this slow progression. Like everybody is really realizing, okay, this is the change we got to make.
Yeah. Go ahead, sir.
I was just going to say, what is because we talk about it so much, like electrification of the vessels. What is something that pertains to your job or your organization regarding that we might not always think about?
Oh, that's a great question. For our organization, I think it is just kind of changing a mindset. There's so many people that have worked in this industry for so long. Martin Curtin, who owns Curtin Maritime, says something that I really like, which is the worst thing that you can say in a business is, this is the way we've always done it. And
So good. So good. Hold on.
I really love it. And I say it often is, it's scary to change and it's scary to do new things, especially if you know what you've been doing works. And to like take a leap to try something new that you're not positive is going to work at first, and then really see it to come to fruition is really exciting. But I wouldn't deny that it's scary, and I understand that like for a lot of businesses that's kind of a scary leap to take. For my position in my business, I think we can kind of entice a lot of younger people that are excited about, creating a greener world and a bluer ocean. And I think manufacturing kind of goes head to head with the green economy sometimes in people's minds, but it doesn't have to. And I think there's a lot of younger people and younger generations that are really excited to be a part of changing industries for the better and for the greener. And so I think that is a pull I have, at least, is, this is really new technology and really new designs, and it's something really exciting to be a part of.
I've seen it. Other places, but it is new. I mean, that is definitely the cutting edge to be. And your design build?
Yeah, we're a design fab business, and so we have a team of designers that work for us in-house, and we have 2 naval architects on our full-time staff. They're also PEs. And then I think we have 5 right now other marine designers that come from various backgrounds. A couple of them come just from manufacturing design, and then a couple of them have mechanical engineering degrees or electrical engineering degrees. But kind of this amalgamation of different engineers has made a really awesome team for us. We have a really open layout. All of our engineers kind of sit in one big room with, cubicled areas, but the cubicles don't go very high, so they can all see each other and talk to each other. We're really big on a collaborative experience. A lot of the time, you don't know a good idea you had until you talk it out.
Yeah.
And something I think that really sets us apart in that is also, if you, in some other businesses, if you have an outside designer, people on the fabrication floor see that 2 things don't match, or the math isn't mathing for them. They have to send those drawings back and wait for engineering to get back to them, which maybe would take a couple hours, and in some cases might take a couple of weeks. But for us, if, one of our fabrication leads is noticing something isn't working, they can go upstairs and be like, Sean, why is this messed up? And he can go out on the shop floor with them and double check that, we're not just looking at something wrong, or if maybe there is a true design flaw, it really expedites that process.
Wow. A lot of people are struggling to find a workforce, capable, there's open positions we hear about all the time. Sounds like you've done pretty well with your growth strategy, so you must be doing something right.
Yeah, I mean, I try. It's not, I wouldn't say it's easy.
Yeah.
But there is definitely something I've spoken about a lot that we really love to see is there's been a huge boom in the last couple of years, maybe last 10 years, of people returning to trade schools, going back to technical colleges. I think for a really long time there was kind of a social pressure and like a social shame that for some reason a tech school was not as valid as a different 4-year degree or 2-year degree, which we know to not be true. It takes 5 or 6 blue-collar jobs to make that one white-collar job. And a lot of people going to these tech schools are coming out of school with so much less debt that they actually are fast-tracked into making more money faster than people that are coming out. I use my art degree for a lot of things, but not my job. There's a lot of, I think, excitement for for people and in finding value in working with their hands.
Yeah.
So there's definitely an influx of young people that are interested in this, which is exciting. But we also have something I'm sure you guys have heard, the phrase like the gray tsunami or the graying of the fleet, that we have a ton of experts in this industry that are kind of getting ready to retire. A lot of them are sort of hanging on because they know they have this great knowledge that they want to impart to other people. So we do definitely see a gap there. There's a gap in these like experts that have been doing this for 50 years and new people that are coming in the door that are really excited to do it. And there's definitely kind of a struggle and a drive to train those new people as fast as possible so we can sort of close that.
So there's like a bit of an hourglass maybe where
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
that mid-level, experience is gapped or a little lean right now.
Yeah. And so I think, that can be tricky, but I think a really great barrier to the maritime industry is just exposure. A lot of people just don't know. There's like 27 federally recognized shipyards in Washington alone, and a lot of people just aren't aware. And I think a lot of people also have a very skewed idea of what the maritime industry is, and that all of it is fishing or tugboats, and since we're boat builders, we never go to sea. There's not an option to. We're landside only. I got people on my staff that don't know how to swim. Because they don't have to, and they, it's not required for them to learn. But I also work in an office, and I get to come here and talk to a lot of people about the industry, and I kind of say I play for the maritime the industry as a whole. Play for the maritime long run, if you will. Obviously work directly with our business, but also try to just create more pathways for people to get into this industry, more exposure for it, more opportunities for people to enter this workforce because it's a really great place to be.
Is there a pathway that's worked particularly well?
Something that we've had really great success with is hiring people out of work release. I hire a lot of people out of work release, especially Reynolds, which is out of downtown. And I do career fairs, prisons a lot. We have had really great success with people coming out of those programs. And just like anything, there's people that don't work out too. But it's kind of an incredible level of loyalty and devotion and hard work because people are just so excited that you gave them a chance, that they want to stay there and they want to work hard. I try to go to just different tech schools all across Washington and talk about the maritime industry and, hopefully you want to come work for me, but even if you never remember that I came here, just maybe this is planting a seed for you, that this is a really great industry to be in. There's a lot of opportunity. And just like you said, Patrick, there's kind of continuous hiring for it. Like people are really looking for employees in the maritime world. And so you're not pigeonholed into construction if you go to school for machining or welding.
I don't know if you probably know Jake Beatty from,
I love Jake.
he was here talking a while ago, and something he said that I thought was pretty profound is that maritime's like sort of difficult to explain. Like we don't necessarily always know, we can't define it very well, but it's very sticky. So you could start out welding and end up doing something completely different, or you could be at sea and come back and become a welder, or on and on and on, because
Totally.
there's so many applications within the greater industry.
Right. It's a huge industry, and there are so many paths you can take. It's also definitely an industry where a lot of hiring from within happens. So, I've seen people go from fabricators to project managers, or from, project leads to salespeople, or whatever it may be. There's a lot of cross-learning and cross-training in all across the industry, which is exciting to see. Something that I've talked with Jake Beatty about before is that we have seen, the Maritime High School open recently, and we've seen a lot more applications of maritime in high schools. And, the Seattle Public School Skills Center, Dave runs their welding program, and he has a huge focus on maritime But we also have seen that sometimes high school is too late.
Mm.
You know, we need to be introducing maritime in
Really?
middle school and elementary school,
Okay.
just like you introduce being a doctor, a lawyer,
Yeah.
construction worker. And, you know, there's a lot of things that go with that. But Ebony Wellborn and Savannah Smith, I don't know if
Yeah. They've been
they
here.
see potential. They're so great. Love the work they do. But they introduced me to an idea I'd never even thought of, which is including the whole family when you're talking to young people about the maritime industry. Because if you get a kid really excited and then they go home and their parent really wanted them to be a doctor,
Yeah.
they're maybe not as on board as they would be if they also understood the appealing and exciting elements of working in this world.
Yeah.
So when you guys hire a lot of different kinds of people, but what are almost some of the portfolios of kinds of people that you hire, and like ranging from this much experience to no experience, or what kind of maybe just person that you look for, even if they don't have experience? What are some of the options of coming into a organization like yours for those people?
Absolutely. We kind of have tried to create somewhat of a labor training program. It's definitely in its baby stages, but especially surrounding people coming out of work release. We've seen a lot of success with this, and really young people that just want a foot in the door, you know, just getting out of school that maybe don't have a lot of work experience yet. If we don't see that they have quite the skill set that we need yet, we'll usually offer them a position, and we have an open position. We'll offer them a position as a general laborer. And that usually starts at about $23 an hour. And the maximum amount of time we try to have someone in that position is 6 months. And they sort of get to do everything, right? You know, there's definitely grunt work, but you're also working with each department. The electricians might need support this day. Facilities might need support this day. Welders might need support, whatever it is. So you kind of get to put your hands in a lot of pots and see what interests you. Because, you know, sometimes you have people come in the door that are like, I want to be a welder. But then once they try a few things, they might find something they had no idea they were excited by, like shipping and receiving, or, you know, purchasing, or mechanics, or whatever it may be. That has a pretty high level of success for us. It also, I think, if it doesn't work out for us, at least that person now has the exposure to this world and knows they can get in another business. I think outside of ours, a really great recommendation is to look for a job as a deckhand. You know, we don't go to sea, so that's not an option for us. But at any tugboat company, that's a really great way for people to get their foot in the door. And kind of same thing, you do a little bit of everything, learn across the board. For us, our trades that we hire for are electricians, welders. We have a handful of finished carpenters. It's a smaller department, though, because we don't do as much woodwork. General laborers, fabricators, ship fitters, and outfit mechanic. Carpentry is one we don't really have an entry-level position for, just because it's all finished carpentry work. Everything's got to be real pretty off the jump. But welding is a little easier depending on the scope of the projects we have. We can kind of train someone up as what we would call an associate, where, you know, they don't have to start straight in general labor. They can start in the welding department because they have a little bit of experience, but they maybe didn't pass our weld test. We do a weld test with anyone that comes in to weld and fabricate, just to kind of see where they're at. But something that I tell people in every department and anyone applying, and I say a lot at tech schools, is that your attitude is your best asset. It is not difficult to teach someone a skill compared to teach someone to want to be there and to want to work hard. And this isn't a soft industry, you know. It's a lot of hard work mentally and physically, but it is also incredibly rewarding. So I think it's a high payoff, and I'm much more likely to offer a position to someone that comes in the door and just so obviously wants to work at Snow and Company. They want to be there and they want to show me that they want to work hard, than someone that came in the door maybe with much better credentials, but obviously could care less, you know. I also think, not to the fault of anyone, but in the welding world in general, a lot of people are really used to job by job hires and seasonal work, having a busy season and a slow season. And so people kind of almost expect to be laid off, which we don't do. We don't lay off per project ever to the best of our ability. You know, it has happened. I've seen layoffs happen once in the time that I've worked at a Snow and Company, because we don't want people to think that they're just a body there. You're like part of our family and part of our team, and we want you to want to be there.
Yeah.
So we also want to show you that we want you to be there.
What made you think about recruiting out of prison and work release programs and stuff like this?
I think that's actually something that my dad has always done, is hire people with, you know, a certain level of criminal history. And so that was kind of just
Embedded in the DNA.
It was just something that I honestly don't remember ever being like, oh, this is a good idea. Just kind of was like par for the course.
Yeah.
You know, it's what you do.
Yeah, we've come across definitely alternative pathways that I don't think people necessarily know are out there. Like we recently started talking with an organization called Uplift Northwest.
I'm going to their facility next week.
No way.
Yeah, I just met with Mike Completa for the
Oh,
first
yeah.
time.
There you go.
Okay, so Mike called me and said, "Hey, I'm on the board. This is really cool. I think we can help out." And it's like, yeah, let's do it. So we've been trying to, you know, at least match. You know, so we have 150 members. So a lot of them may have opportunities, and we've been hearing it for so long. These gaps and shortages that, you know, we're trying to make those kinds of connections too that maybe people haven't really thought about.
Right.
So I think it's kind of brilliant.
It really is. And
know?
it's like mutually beneficial, right?
Right.
You're helping me and I'm helping you.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense.
And another route that we have seen incredible success in is about 10% of my workforce is Ukrainian and Russian refugees.
Really?
And a year and a half ago or so, maybe 2 years ago, I got an email from one of our now lead fabricators. And it was very short, and it was, my English is terrible, but I'm a really good welder. Can I please come and show you? And our hiring managers that I said we were going to give this guy a chance to were resistant at first. They're like, I'm not going to be able to tell them what they're doing wrong. I'm not, this isn't going to work out. And immediately after his weld test, his hiring manager came back and said, if we do something right all year, we hire this guy today. We did. And he's one of our lead fabricators now, and he still doesn't really speak any English.
So how does it work?
You use Google Translate.
There you go.
That's all you need to do. Really.
I know.
And it's the thing, there are definitely trades that is more difficult in.
Sure.
Right.
Our small carpentry department does a lot of looking out what will look good and visualizing and, creating ideas by discussing. And that one we thought was going to be really tricky, but I have a Russian employee in my carpentry department right now. He does speak some English, but, we have not found the barrier that I think people think you will find.
Right.
You don't need to speak English to be a good welder.
That's so cool. That makes me really happy.
That's So what I just thought about is the reason we started this podcast, and it was really to tell stories. That's because I don't think we have enough of them. We don't hear enough of them, and that's a good one.
Great story.
So I like that.
Okay,
we use Google Translate.
Yeah, those are all. So I think you guys are doing a lot of things right, and that's showing to work. So we've talked about the things you're doing right. What do you think other people are doing wrong?
I'm sure there's a plethora of things we're doing wrong too. I think kind of like I was saying earlier, it's easy to close your mind to things that are new and scary, right?
Yeah.
It's easy to do what works, but if you're not evolving with the times, you will be left behind. I think that really just kind of creating that own barrier for yourself, deciding that, you need someone to speak and read immaculate English to do production work is slowing you down. Refusing to hire people that have great qualifications to work there, but you don't like some of the things they did in their past is also slowing you down. I also think that the importance of well-being and mental comfort is really important and is pretty slow to catch on in this industry, just like many. But I think that especially in a business and a industry where you're doing something that can be really physically and mentally taxing, you need the space to also rest and recuperate and have time to readjust. I also think people not trying new things, people not taking the leap, people not willing to be scared is what's holding them back. And, diversifying our workforce. It's very, very easy for people to hire someone that looks and thinks like them. But we have also seen historically, backed by research over and over again, that a more diverse workforce is a more creative and a more productive workforce. It can be homogenized easily here. The average person in maritime in America is a 54-year-old white man. It is.
That's me.
It's,
I'm
but
54 and white. Yeah.
I couldn't have planned that. But, and there's nothing wrong with that other than we need to create a new average, right? We need to diversify in order to grow.
Well, if that's all you're able to see in a workforce or an entire industry, you're really limiting your options. I think that kind of thing is dangerous. I think it's, having something monocultural is not a good idea. So I love that you're actually, there's a lot of people, I know you know this, but who talk about this kind of thing. There's not a ton of people that I think are actually doing it or being successful. So there may be a willingness or a desire, but people do absolutely get in their own way. They'll create barriers. The recruitment process is very onerous. Like the idea that someone comes in, like, oh, I just want to weld for you, and then later on in the day has a job, that's different from what I can tell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that's, and then something you said that I'm definitely going to write down and remember today is people who are unwilling to be scared. Yeah. There's a certain, like, especially for what you all do, like you've got to kind of put yourself out there. I think that is not easy. So I really respect that. I like hearing that. It's good.
Thanks. I
Yeah.
try. And just like anything, I also don't want to like create the illusion that I have this like 100% success rate,
You can't, of course not.
And there's, it's hard within our business too. There's like growth and minds you have to change. And the best way that you can do that I have seen is by example. We'll give this person a chance and watch how great it turns out.
So you, I'm curious about your background. So you said, I saw that you were you an art major or an artist?
Yeah.
Or,
my mom is a oil painter and
Oh.
has been an interior designer most
wow.
of my life. So we had a lot of art in our home and a lot of artistic outlets. I also really think of my dad as a sculptor, to be honest. Like it is an art, the way that he goes about building boats and making things, and he takes so much pride in it being beautiful and being immaculate that it really is an art to me. So I feel like I grew up in a house of artists, and I went to school for visual art and I loved it, and I definitely apply the knowledge I learned there in ways I wouldn't expect. There's a certain level of creativity in my job for sure, but I worked in service for almost 12 years. I was a server and then a bartender and then a bar manager for 5 years. And I actually lived in San Diego. I was managing a little coffee and beer and wine place. And my dad asked if I wanted to move home to work for him. And at first I was not so sure.
No.
Well, working for your family can be hard. And I also lived in sunny San Diego, and coming back to Seattle sounded hard. And I cannot underline how glad I am that I did. I mean, it's been really a really incredible industry to join and world to be in, and gratifying in a way I wouldn't have realized in the past. So that's also kind of a great example of like, I came from a maritime background in the respect that my dad was deep in the maritime world, but I didn't start in this world until I was 27, and I didn't have any history of it. And it has been a really great place for me to be. Really love it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Great story.
That's cool.
You ever make it back to San Diego?
I have once since we moved. I'll go again. I do love it there. Yeah, my background is definitely in people, right? Like people management and service and making people's day and life a little bit better and a little bit easier is kind of where I come from, and definitely try to bring that into this industry as much as I can.
Yeah. Wow.
My question is like not related to what we're talking about at all,
Bring
but
it
it's
on.
one that I thought about. How many projects do you guys actually do a year? We were talking about your project managers, I think, before we started recording. How many projects do you undertake every year?
That's a really good question. And it's pretty hard to answer, to be honest. So a lot. We almost always have one repair job going at a time. A couple years ago, we did a midlife overhaul on the Tigla, which is a national fish and wildlife vessel. We're right now just finishing an overhaul on a tugboat for Curtin. We kind of continuously will have just at least one repair job going. We also have a contract to build 53 boats for the Navy.
I saw that.
We're on 24 right now. We make them mediums and larges of a boat we designed in-house. And those go all over the world, to Japan, Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, Guam, San Diego, Hawaii, a number of other places. But those all work on Navy bases, opening barriers and moving submarines and things. They don't go off the base. So those are kind of in continuous production as well. And then now we're making these arc and curtain boats. When we have built pilot boats in the past, a lot of the time we'll build one and directly followed by another. But we also acquired all of the machines, and they came with a really awesome guy from a tube bending business that went under last year. And so we also have a tube bending department. And we'll shop those things out sometimes. We just built like 100 handles for a bunch of medical carts. So like that's if we consider that a project, that is one thing on its own. But we also own what was once called the Foss 300 and is now called the Boss 300 because it is ours. It's a 75-year-old steam crane, and it is a really cool beast, but that's its own company as well. So Snow Crane Company operates separately from Snow and Company, and we'll do our own haul outs with that. We'll launch our own boats with that, but also like we just went and picked up a fishing boat that sank at Fisherman's Terminal, or the year before last we picked up a cable for power that went down to Mercer Island. Certain random projects we'll take on with that as well. Those are more one-day projects, but I'm struggling to give you a number.
No, it's just cool hearing about all the different things. Who knew you could make handles for a living? Right?
But we also did just get a grant we're about to receive a laser cutter and a deburring machine press brake. So that will also kind of expand the things we can do once we have our own machining department, which will be new.
Is that through MARAD? Is that no? Yeah, I don't know.
I think so.
Yeah,
but don't
probably
hold me to that.
because you're considered small shipyard. Yeah, okay, so it's probably MARAD would be my guess. That's a good thing. Cool.
Is your laser cutter gonna cut metal?
Yes.
So you're gonna have when you go to PME and there are people there they're cutting out the little metal fish. You're gonna have one of those.
Yes, but I'm not gonna bring it.
No. I mean that's a good choice. It's gonna be working all the time already.
Yes, hopefully, if everything goes according to plan.
Ooh, that's cool. We need to go see it.
Yeah,
we need to go see.
I would love for you guys to come visit us.
Definitely
I'd love to give a
want
tour.
So speaking of projects in your future, and it sounds like you're busy and growing. That's quite impressive. How do you overcome this complaint that we hear constantly in Seattle, how expensive it is? So I'm sure you've got to remain competitive to build a workforce and overcome external pressure that you have no control over.
Yeah, that is a really big beast that I bring up pretty often. The year before last, I spoke at the PME breakfast,
Mm-hmm.
and one of the questions I was asked was, what do you think the greatest barrier to maritime in the Seattle area is? And I said, contrary to what a lot of other people will say, I will say the cost of living.
Mm-hmm.
There are a lot of people that live out just outside of Seattle in Washington that would be very qualified and, probably love the type of work we do, but do not want to A, commute, or B, pay to live in Seattle. There's also like a really incredible shipbuilding workforce from a lot of other places in America, like Newport News and Virginia and Mobile, Alabama, have like really incredible shipbuilding, and a lot of people that would happily move to work, but minimum wage there is $7 an hour. And you can't afford to come to Seattle and pay first and last. I mean, I'm sure a plethora of people can, but I wouldn't expect you to be able to just on your own. So we've tried to create a relocation package for the right candidates. We'll do a $5,000 bonus that is distributed over your first 5 paychecks. So you get a $1,000 bonus. We also are looking into building out sort of temporary housing that you could live in for the first month you were
Wow.
here. But that also being said, we require a weld test to have you be hired as a welder. And so even if you had an interview and you were excited about it, you'd still have to buy a plane ticket to come out here and take the weld test and stay here for the night and go home. And that's expensive. And I wish that I could afford to fly everyone out, but I can't necessarily. And so that is definitely a tricky thing. I've lost really good welders because they're like, I would love to continue to work here, but I also want to buy a house. And so I have to move to Ordain or, Bellingham or wherever it is. I do have some employees that live in Ordain and make the commute. But we have 2 van pools as well. So one that comes from south and one that comes from north. An employee drives each van, and then they'll meet a bunch of other employees at a central location, and then they carpool to work in that van. And the state pays for the gas for that, which is great.
Okay.
So you save the wear and tear on your car, but you also save the money on the gas.
Yeah.
And if you're not the driver,
Interesting.
you could go back to sleep in the car if
Yeah.
you want, which is nice. So, we try to kind of set up these things that will hopefully benefit people that live further away. But that is a pretty big beast that I'm unsure completely out of battle yet.
Yeah.
We try to keep our wages pretty competitively high
Yeah.
because a happy workforce is a productive workforce.
Yeah.
But it's tricky. It's a tricky balance. For
I mean,
sure.
especially like right when you're hiring young people. If you're trying to hire young people from other places who come from that $7 an hour minimum wage, they don't have any savings in their bank account. They can't just afford to buy a plane ticket with they don't have leftover paycheck to do that kind of thing. I just like that's a thing that we know, but I've never heard it like that and absorbed it in the way you just said it.
This was certainly a factor with the ferry contract going to
Yeah.
Florida.
Totally.
Nichols having to bid within a region that's a lot more expensive than Eastern shipbuilding in Florida. So I know, so we're pretty active in Olympia, at least this past year we have been. And Julia Reed, Representative Reed, talks about this in a way that I of course, know, but hadn't really thought about. And talking about driving in, having to come from really far away, that, those kinds of costs are real. You may not know it because you have to live somewhere that's cheaper, but then then you typically don't have a fuel efficient car. You're going through tires. You're going through you have a transmission. Blah 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 blah. And over time, it ends up you end up in a really bad place. And yeah, she took us through that whole kind of, and I'm like, that's brilliant. I didn't know that is that the city that's or the
Actually,
state?
I said the state, but I actually think it is the county. I think it's
County?
the King County
Okay.
thing.
I didn't know that was a thing, but
Yeah.
well, it sounds like you're trying to like
Maybe I'm-
innovate around this barrier. So
Yeah, and I mean another factor is that your time is valuable.
yeah,
You know,
100%.
like your time that you're not getting to spend A at work and B with your family.
right.
is
Well, suddenly,
important.
your kid can't go to volleyball camp or whatever because you can't get that person there. And,
Right.
that's a cost.
Or you're not taking your time off of work to rest and be ready for the next day.
Right.
Like, I think in the culture we live in now, like you said, the rest is not prioritized, but that's what makes it possible to come back the next day and
Right.
give in the same way. And if you're pulling from that, it's just a continuous drain down, down, down,
Right.
for sure.
So I remember, it's a little bit of a setup because I remembered that you said that at I was in the audience and I was like, yeah, that's true. I mean, it's just embedded into your life. So yeah, I'm
We
good to
have-
hear your thoughts on that.
Yeah, our schedule is our production schedule is from 6 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. We try to like
Yeah.
offset it from traffic so that you're
That's
getting
great.
out of there at 2:30. You can, hopefully get to your house in Marysville
Yeah.
in less than an hour.
But there's no work from home welding that I know of.
Yeah. We also actually are a place. One, I feel like most places now have at least some hybrid capabilities, but we don't have the capability for hybrid work. Obviously, on the production side, because you need to be there to do it. But as I was talking about earlier, where my dad is very big onto a collaborative workforce, and he just feels you can't do quite the same amount of collaboration if you can't
Yeah.
just spitball ideas with each other.
Yep. Yeah, no, that's true. Makes a lot of sense. So you're talking about speaking a lot. I know you're very active that way. You travel quite a bit. Where are you going to be like the rest of the year?
Well, in December, we'll be going to the International Workboat Show in New Orleans,
Good.
which is always a really great time. If you have never been there, it's like a little city. Like, it's incredible. There's so many amazing things going on. And that is the only travel I have booked out so
Yeah.
far for the rest of the year. Cal Maritime does their career fair usually in February, and so I'll probably be at that.
Okay.
One thing that's kind of tricky is I would love to be able to go to all the maritime schools, Maine Maritime Academy and SUNY in New York. But it's kind of a very particular set of people that I personally can get, because a lot of people are going, if they want to work on a boat and not, in engineering or whatever, they're going for deck skills. They're going for deck system. And so, if I need a project manager or a surgeon engineer, that is lucrative. Otherwise, I'm kind of better off going to technical colleges.
Oh,
Interesting.
you have an interesting job.
Yeah, so like nuanced.
Yeah.
The pick and choose of kind of the right places, and I think, yeah, no, like you said, no one's got it perfectly figured out. So it's always interesting to hear everyone's adaptation of it.
Yeah,
So.
it definitely was trial by fire. I did, like I was saying, like I don't have a recruiting background. I have a people background. But I feel like that, was difficult in some ways, but also kind of benefited me in other ways where I could really be looking outside of the box,
Yeah.
really trying things in a different way because I didn't know any better. But I think it's working out so far.
What are some of the like other, maybe not necessarily related to your job, or maybe partially related to your job, just like maritime things going on that are making you excited?
I kind of just get like a jolt of excitement when I see other businesses that are electrifying vessels. Anybody else that is going down that path, I think excites me pretty greatly. And I really love seeing the the activity in schools, watching like the Maritime High School really come to fruition is really exciting. Watching some of these welding programs really focus their students on maritime. It's really exciting. It's just a pretty exciting world to be in.
I think in Seattle especially, there are a lot of things we're doing wrong, but there are a lot of things we're doing right.
I agree.
And we have such a, I don't know, big dreaming group of people here, I think, that keeps it exciting.
Yeah. And I think there are so many people that are so devoted and excited to be here that people really want to see this industry succeed. We have so many people that are so passionate about it, and we're 3 of them.
Yeah.
The one thing that you talked about earlier that I was curious your take on, you talked about the Gray Tsunami and kind of the teaching of the next people. I feel like a lot of those interactions that I see the older generation, and it's almost like we skipped a middle section.
Totally.
Like you said, the hourglass, and then we got the younger. So what has worked for you and not worked for you, and kind of like connecting those? And I think in our direct like organization, sometimes it's easier, but I think there's a lot of just like networking and cross functioning. Like it's so and so knows so and so, and that's how this business gets done. So how do we like pass that knowledge down?
Yeah. I think that like I'm totally an example of this, but I think that there is definitely like a level of nepotism in maritime, and not necessarily that you get handed a great job, but you got a job because your uncle was a fisherman or your neighbor worked on boats in Ballard or your, whatever it is. I think that it's a lot of who, kind of was the way that our workforce was developed for a long time. And I think that's also why you see such a homogenized workforce, because it is people that are from the same families, people that are from the same neighborhoods are the same people that are coming into the industry over and over again. So we've seen a really great way to disrupt that is trying to lower barriers for low-income communities to enter this workforce, trying to really create a lot of exposure in neighborhoods and communities that have not historically been included in the maritime industry. And I think you do kind of find some of those middle range people there that maybe need a little training on the maritime world, but have the skill set that you need. They just didn't know and have not been invited into this industry in the past. I also think it is like totally a dance of this older generation and this younger generation meeting each other halfway, right? Is like this older generation of people that have worked with their hands their whole life, have a certain expectation of what you're supposed to do and how you're supposed to show up. And I think that finding a balance between them, maybe being able to release some of those things that they've always been like, this is just how you do it, but also encouraging younger people to want to work hard and to want to invest their time. I say something sometimes that's like, seems so obvious, but you're good at what you like. Like people are, if you are enjoying being there, you are so much more likely to be good at it because you want to put in the extra time and effort or mental capacity to really learn the thing you're doing. So I think kind of encouraging people to keep learning, encouraging people that are already in this industry or in a similar industry to learn something new in it, really helps create those really diverse employees and candidates in the maritime world. And also pushing people to want to help other people learn. I think there's another thing you kind of run into sometimes is people that aren't quite ready to retire being frightened that this young person is going to take their job. And we don't really see that happen. It's just a fear that is there. And so there's sort of this like gatekeeping that happens of like, I don't need to take the time to teach you. But I also, for a business like ours, we don't have a true apprenticeship program because I don't have the capacity to have one person that I hire just to teach.
Yeah.
Like that's not something that I can quite afford yet. And maybe we can soon and it would be awesome. But I do understand that that's also hard. There's like people either have to want to volunteer their time or businesses have to want to pay someone to do that. Another way that we kind of try to help people learn is we'll give opportunities for people to do things outside of work hours in our shop. So we have like some weld booths set up that we do our weld tests in. We don't do any bench welding otherwise. But we'll set those up so people can stay after work hours and work on those so they can maybe get a leg up or send people to trainings that they're interested in if, it's right and it works. A little over a year ago, I had an electrician come to me and say, if I can go to these 2 trainings, we can install our own FLIR cameras now. And we don't need someone else to come do it for us. And I was like,
Done.
go on your merry
Got
way.
it.
Which is, an investment, right? You're investing money and you're investing time that person's not there now. But I really firmly believe that when you invest time in people, they want to invest time in you. And that's how you create a workforce that is not only productive, but wants to be there, wants to be working.
I want to come visit your facility.
Come
on
really bad.
down.
I know we've
Super.
talked like every time you always invite us, and we're like, yeah, we got to go, but we just need to go.
We should.
Get in the van and go. So
That'd
I
be
want to
awesome.
see this for myself.
I want to
So
see the welding.
yeah,
It's a pretty fun shop. It's very unassuming from the road. Almost every time I bring someone in, they're like, wow, I didn't know you had so much back here.
yeah.
Hiding.
It is. It's tucked away.
Wow.
That's cool.
Well,
This has been awesome.
yeah, Tuuli Snow.
There you go.
Awesome. Where can people find you if they want to connect?
Absolutely. Our website is snowboatbuilding.com. And we have a contact us page there. We also have an employment page. You can see what jobs we have open. I always encourage people, even if you don't see the job that is true to you open, please still reach out and apply. You never know what we have on the horizon. If I
Right.
have enough awesome candidates reach out to me for something, I might never open the position because I had some great people in mind already,
Right.
We have an Instagram also, it's Snowboat Building, and Snow Crane Company. You can also go look at some of those fun lifts we do.
Cool.
That's always a plus.
All right. Well, thank you so much for
Yeah.
being here.
Thank you guys so much for having me. It's a
Yeah.
pleasure.
Great.
Yeah, we finally got it done.
I know. And we're gonna get there, and then we're gonna get pictures, and
Yeah.
we're gonna post them so everyone can see them.
Cool.
Yeah,
Get
love
the
it.
second inside look into the rest of this story. So that's exciting. Well, with that, I think we're gonna sign off for this episode, and I look forward to seeing you all again bright and early tomorrow morning.